Three, two, one. Hey everybody, this is Victor. I am here with Heather. This is actually part three in continuing Heather's journey. This video we're going to be covering how Heather went from her first flip completed to actually six figures flipping. She's picked up some other deals since then. So how are you doing?
Doing well, doing well. Really busy, enjoying the process and enjoying having my first flip behind me.
Yeah, no, I'm excited too. And excited to like hear about it. I know we were talking before, but like to really dive into more detail here. So I think in part two, well, like you had just gotten the deal under contract, or like it was right in that interim, like you were close to getting it under contract, somewhere close to that. So what's happened since then? So for your number one deal, we'll talk about the other ones. So your number one deal, like how did the buying and the closing, how did that go? What did you learn? Just if you can just catch us up.
Let's say the buying and closing was pretty seamless.
Okay.
I had a money partner, and so that part went very well. And then we got started on the house, and I didn't realize the extent of what a hoarder's house is like.
Ah, okay.
Not recognize that this was actually a hoarder's house.
Hmm.
What you see on TV is what I was faced with.
Hmm.
So it became a huge challenge, the yard especially. They were trash hoarders.
Hmm.
So they threw their trash out in the yard for the 8 years they lived there. And every time that would get so they couldn't walk on it, they'd put a tarp over it and start throwing more trash.
Okay, so there's a lot of trash.
Every time I'd come home or I'd come back to the house, I'd come home from my day job and I'd go over to the house and I'd say to the guys, great job, it looks great. And they'd say, don't get too excited, there's another layer. I would just like want to fall apart. I would just, you have to be kidding. And they'd pull a shovel and they'd show another tarp and more garbage.
Hmm.
So the yard was a real challenge. It took us 2 months to get all of the trash up out of the yard.
Hmm.
14 tons of garbage.
Wow. Okay.
2 tons of scrap metal.
Yeah.
So it took 3 scrappers to come and get the metal.
Hmm.
And we had a trailer in the yard. So it was quite a challenge. I don't think I could have. I know what to look for now, though.
Yeah.
I buy a house and it's vacant and I see the yard, or I say, oh no, not that one. I'm not doing that again.
Yeah. I think it's just a really good learning lesson for you. Like
It was.
because like you get into it and you're like, okay, you think you know what you're getting into, and like you get into it, and there's surprises and there's challenges, just like you said, and that's totally fine. That's 100% part of the process when you're flipping. I don't think like I've ever had a flip go 100% according to plan. Like there's always speed bumps and always things that happen. So you clean out all the trash. That's awesome. How did like the rest of the renovation go? Because you did like flooring, paint, I think kitchen, some other stuff.
The inside went relatively well. I mean, I had the bathrooms planned out. I knew what I was doing. We had walls taken out. We to put the walk-in shower to make a full bathroom in the master bedroom.
Hmm.
The interior, though, was really trashed by the people that lived there. So, I mean, as I had mentioned to you, we went to start prepping for paint, and we had to scrape food and feces off the wall and stuff like that. They lived terribly.
Hmm.
And so there were a lot of those kind of things that I ran into.
Hmm.
I was like, well, I don't know why I didn't just get rid of the sheetrock altogether and go down to the studs.
Yeah.
I had to skim coat. It was 2 solid weeks of just constant preparation for paint. So there were those kind of obstacles. And then of course, you tear the bathrooms out, and part of the process is you usually have a subfloor that needs to be replaced in the bathroom. I mean, it's almost 80% of the time you have to, in an old house, there's a subfloor that needs to be replaced somewhere. So Um, so those things, but everything else I found relatively normal in
Mhm.
the process. I thought that I could put the floors down myself, and I discovered I could not do.
Mm-hmm.
And I discovered I didn't want to do that. There's a lot of
Oh, okay.
things I want to do,
Hmm.
but that wasn't one of them. I,
Yeah.
and it was too much for me
Hmm.
to do. So I didn't do that. So at your recommendation, I hired somebody and I got it done very quickly.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's important because you're with your flipping style, especially as you're getting started, like you're pretty hands-on. So it's really key. Like, what do you want to do? What do you not want to do? And just hire out the stuff you don't want to do. Because
Right.
if it's not enjoyable, then why bother? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
So, yep.
yeah.
At your recommendation, I went to you and I said, I don't think I can do this. I thought I could. I don't think I can. You were like, you got to hire somebody. Let's do it. Let's get it done.
Hmm.
That's what we did. So,
You got it done. Awesome. Okay,
yeah.
so you finished the renovation. A couple of hiccups there. That's totally fine. You learned a lot. What about like listing and selling it? How did that go? Yeah, how did that process go for you?
Okay. So, I was not confident that I knew enough about the North Carolina real estate market
Mhm.
and their laws. So I went with a flat rate realtor service
Okay.
instead of flat fee, which is what I'll use on the next one.
Hmm.
And that you pay the realtor $3,000 and that realtor lists it and does everything else for you. The negotiation, they do everything that a normal realtor would do.
Hmm.
They get paid a flat rate of $3,000.
Okay.
Um, and I felt that that worked pretty well for me. I think they give you a list of realtors, and I did not interview all of them, and I probably should have. That's a lesson I learned.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Okay, so mine was not as he's just not a great communicator.
Hmm.
Um, so I may have wanted to, should have interviewed a couple of others, and instead of going with just saying, "Well, I really like this guy's on paper."
Mm, I see. Yeah.
So that was a lesson learned.
Okay. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but it worked out very well. We did run into the hiccup with the buyer. Let's see, there were several different things. They started out with a really strong offer of 160, and they were no contingencies as far as we knew, and there was a conventional loan.
Hmm.
2 weeks later, they told us that they were changing closing date again because they were going with an FHA loan.
Hmm.
So it only pushed it a few days, but it still pushed it.
Hmm.
Um, then about a month into that, just before closing, a few days before closing, they let us know that the sale of their house fell through, and they asked if we could push the closing out again for another 35 days. And my money partner and I had to talk that over, and what we decided to do, instead of relisting it, because in North Carolina, even if we were to say no to the buyer, we would have to wait 14 days
Hmm.
for the contract to end. So it was not in our best interest.
Hmm.
But we asked for quite a hefty due diligence, non-refundable
Hmm.
deposit.
Hmm.
That's what we negotiated. If we're going to wait another 30 days, you're going to pay us for it.
Yeah. That's fair.
And that's what we did.
Hmm.
And they came back with half of what we asked. We asked for 5,000. They gave us 2,500.
Hmm.
So if they were not to go to close, we still ended up with that 2,500, no matter what. So
So,
that
sorry to interrupt you. I want to rewind a little bit. Like, what was the experience like when you listed it? Because I know you had a lot of showings and a lot of offers. So, how did that process go? Just to fill everyone
that
in.
was that was very exciting.
Okay. Yeah.
So listed, my realtor had a strategy. He said, I signed up with him on a Monday. He said we will list it Friday.
Hmm.
That Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're going to get your most traffic and we'll get all our offers. And on Monday, we'll get back to them and we'll choose the offer that we want.
Hmm.
So, and that's exactly what we did. And we had our first offer 6 hours after we listed.
Nice. Awesome.
And that's the people we sold to. We had 5 offers altogether,
Awesome.
and they were all decent offers. One was ridiculous.
Like low?
No, it was 100 and they wanted to offer us 175,000 for the house. And we knew it was
Oh, it's
raised for
way too much.
that.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
was way too much, but
Hmm.
they wanted to get in,
Yeah.
and then negotiate further. They wanted to get their foot in the door.
Hmm.
So um, we ended up going with the first offer, and so it's played out a little longer than I would have liked. I've said that to you. I'd be happy when some money comes in, because now I have 2 other deals in the works, and a lot of money's going out.
So on the first one, so it's still under contract. It's closing next week, if I remember correctly.
That's correct.
Okay.
Closes on the 23rd. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay, so everything like it looks like it's in line, like it's going to close, like really high confidence there.
Yes.
Cool. Awesome. So that's the first one.
That's the
If you're
first one.
comfortable sharing, like what are the rough numbers on that one? Like what did you buy it for? What did you put into it? What is it under contract for?
We bought it for 71,000.
Okay.
We sold it for 160,
Awesome.
which was much higher than we had anticipated, only because of this crazy market.
Yeah.
Okay. But very grateful that it was, because we ended up, instead of putting 24,000 in, we put 36,000 in
Okay.
because of the yard. The yard put us 9,500 over.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember you
Um,
sharing that with me. Yeah.
Not something such a learning lesson.
Hmm.
Look for. I mean, that's something I didn't mention. We had to cut down over 200 trees, small
Hmm.
trees, but trees, and stump grind them all.
Hmm.
To have tractors come in and, regrade the property and till the soil. And
Hmm.
none of those things did I anticipate. None of those things. So huge learning lesson.
Yeah. So bought at 71, put in at 36, selling for 160. So yeah, like we were saying, I think 34K-ish net.
34 to 37. It just depends on.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's great. That was your first deal closing next week, like signed, check in hand. So awesome. That's great. What about number two? Number two, you actually bought, I think it was last week, like you've actually purchased it, start a little bit of the renovation. Can you tell us a little bit about that one?
It's a 1,500 square foot house in a tiny little town called Beulahville.
Yeah.
Um, and I stumbled on it on Facebook. It was with a wholesaler I had worked with once before. When I got there, the owner showed up, and I found out that the wholesaler was out of contract with him.
Hmm.
He was unhappy with the wholesaler because he'd been stringing him along for a long time.
Yeah.
So I waited, a period of time, which was hard for the owner. He didn't want to wait, but I felt that it was only fair once he was out of contract. For sure, I had to see it in writing. The owner asked me to make him an offer.
Mm-hmm.
So we came to terms on 83,000.
Okay.
And the nice thing about the house is that it is 70% renovated.
Great.
And it came with, so paint's done, floor's done. I have to repaint, but that's okay. The color's wrong, but that's okay. Floors are down. They need some repair because they were put in wrong. So, these are little things that I have to do. And then, let's see. I have all my cabinets done. Kitchen countertops are there. They're just not in. We have to drop a sink in the kitchen, get the appliances. Bathrooms have to be installed, but all the materials are there. Vanities are there, faucets, lights, everything is there. We just have to install it. So, it's about 35% of the work to do. And
That's great. You can't be.
I thought it would be a great flip after what I went through with the last one. The first one, I thought, yeah, I could do this one.
Awesome. Awesome. So you're buying at 8, you already bought at 83. That's closed. So that's awesome. How much do you think you need to put into it? What do you think you can sell it for?
I budgeted for 20,000.
Okay.
However, I think we're going to come in my my plan is to come in light on that
That's fair. Yeah.
because I'm putting a lot of work in myself.
Mhm.
So I'd like to come in at about 12 to 15.
Okay.
See how that
Cool.
goes.
Yeah.
I'll let you know in, in next interview.
Sure. Yeah. We'll give an update. Like, oh, it was actually, whatever. And that's good.
So, and
Oh yeah, go ahead.
oh, and then selling is all our comps, your comps, the ones that I had pulled for me by the professional, and my comps came back at 160,
Hmm.
155.
Great deal.
That's where we're going to sell it at, and we'll see how it goes.
That's another 30 to 50K net. Okay. And then, okay, so let's talk about that's deal number two. That already closed. Deal number three, you have under contract closing, I think, in about 10 days. Can you tell us like just briefly about that one?
Yes, deal number three is a house I picked up that is catty corner, if you
Hmm.
know the expression, behind the 2610 house, my first flip.
Nice. Yeah.
So the neighbor next door to my first flip, the 2610 house, was so pleased with the work that we were doing to get rid of all of the garbage and everything. And he became very friendly and very helpful.
Mhm.
So he has been introducing me to the elderly people in the neighborhood and their families
Mhm.
because he loved the way the house turned out. So I was able to get introduced to these people behind us. Their mom was just going into a nursing home, and they gave me first right of refusal on the house. And so we negotiated, and I'll be closing on that house on the 26th. And so it's nice. It's kind of a similar house to the first one, but it's nothing like the first.
So yeah, that's, I mean, each house is different, unique, and it sounds like these second and third projects are a little bit easier. So that's good. That makes your life easier. I wish we would have flipped the order, gone easy, easy, a little bit harder, but
Well, there's something to be said for baptism by fire because
yeah,
it's all downhill from there.
exactly. I like it. Oh, and I asked you, I wanted to bring it up again. So on number two, like how much money did you like you personally have to put out of pocket to do that deal? Like out of pocket. I always teach like, no money down and that sort of thing. So you put a little bit of money into like, so if you're comfortable.
$500.
Okay. So like $500 out of your own pocket. Great.
That was it
Yeah.
on that one. Yep.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
So on the third one, $1,500.
Okay. So not terrible either. Yeah. And then,
No,
1,500 to make, 20, 30, 40,
right.
50,000. So beautiful. Okay. So that's one. And then for number three, what were the numbers? Did you share that yet?
No, let's see. We purchased that one at 86.5.
Okay.
And my budget is 40,000.
Okay.
And we're selling at 180.
Okay. So 83, 40 into 180. Okay. So that's another like 30, 40, which is
Yep.
awesome. So that's six figures. I know it's like still potential, like you still have to execute on it. Like you still have to sell it, all that stuff, but that's six figures. And I was looking at, I think you've been in the program about 8 months, 9 months. Is that about right?
Yeah, since November. So that puts me at just 8 months.
8 months. Yeah. Congrats. Six
Thanks.
figure house flipper in like 8 months. And I know it's still potential, technically your third one has to close, but you make your money when you buy, and that's the truth. Just like on your first one, like you guys, I mean, you guys made more than, or just about like where you wanted to make it.
Yeah. Yeah. We were hoping for 30, and it
Mhm.
looks like it's going to be about 34.
Yeah. Which is,
That was nice. Yep.
you make your money when you buy, especially in this market. Cool. Well, exciting stuff. Yeah, I mean, on that note, so we talked about your three deals here. Like, I mean, would you recommend working with me?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I've said it on your Facebook page to your other students. Um, there's no better tool than having a good teacher,
Mhm.
mentor, coach. And you have held my hand through all of it. One of the things that I did want to mention is that mindset is so important.
Yes. Yeah.
Days where my mindset was so bad and I was so negative and I can't and I don't, I can't and I don't. And you would be voxering back and forth with me saying, I don't agree with you, Heather. Why don't you step back, Heather? Why don't you clear a charge, Heather? But you endured, you were there with me through that.
Mhm.
One thing I can tell other students is that, and I did just mention it, don't let the obstacles stop you.
Mhm.
Just keep going.
Yep.
Keep going, no matter what. Because obstacles that I thought, which was the money aspect, that I thought would stop me, did not stop me.
Mhm.
And now I've had two. My first one was bumpy, but the first one always is. That these two are going along smoothly. The one closed. I was with Lending Home on that one,
Mhm.
and then I had a joint venture partner, Anthony Robinson. Um, it was a very smooth process, very easy to go through. And so all these obstacles I thought I was going to have, I really didn't. They fell away. It
Mhm.
was all in my mind. I can't, and I don't, and I won't.
Mhm.
I had to eliminate those words from my vocabulary.
Yeah, awesome. I like it. And
So
then, so like,
mindset is a big thing, and you always
mindset's key.
being there. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, what was that?
I was just saying mindset's key. Just echoing what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so like, why should someone listening take action now?
Because it's not going to do itself.
Yeah.
And why not?
Mhm.
I know I could say for myself, if I could get through the obstacles that I was faced with my first flip, um, anybody can do this.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, I just, why not?
Mhm.
The only way I can say it is it's not going to do it itself. Like if you can't sit there and watch these things happen. Well, you can watch Victor do them, but for you to accomplish it, you just have to do it.
Mhm. I like it.
You
Well,
just
very
have to do
clear.
it.
Exciting. It's really exciting to see your journey, exciting to see your progress. Just keep it up. You're doing all the right things. You're pushing in the right direction. Um, any like final insights? Anything else like you wanted to share? I know we kind of went through the deals quickly. Like maybe any other like learning nuggets there? Something else you wanted to mention while we wrap up here?
I think well, I learned one of the biggest things I learned is that don't let money be the obstacle.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was getting funding for the second deal, I needed gap funding. And
Mm-hmm.
I went to you and I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. How am I going to come up with this amount of money? And you said, oh, don't worry, we have time. That's all. That's all you kept saying. Oh, don't worry, we have time. We'll find somebody. And
Yeah.
so, you put it out on the Facebook group, and it happened very quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and seamlessly. And in that process, I also got to know some of the other students, which was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so don't let money be the obstacle, because that was my huge obstacle to overcome,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't end up being an obstacle. So that was, I think, the biggest lesson I learned through this.
I like it. Yeah. A lot of the beginners, especially, I don't know, I think you're past the beginner stage now, especially since you're doing so many deals, which is great. But a lot of beginners like, oh, where do I get the money? And you always realize like, oh, it's about the deal. If you get a good enough deal, people will throw money at you. Just like, I mean, for your second and third one, like it was super, it was quick, like to get
I
in
didn't even have to ask for the
the.
somebody came to me
Yeah.
and said, oh, I would love to invest. How much do you need for your gap funding for the third one? And I didn't even have to ask. They just came to me. So yeah, get through the first one.
Mm-hmm.
That's my advice. Get through the first one. It's the hardest, just like you say it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's the hardest money-wise. It's the hardest learning experience. Um, so much unfamiliar things that, but you learn.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you gain confidence and you feel better about doing your next deal and your next deal.
Mm-hmm.
So
Awesome. Well, very cool. Well, again, I appreciate you doing this, Heather. It's been, really cool to see your journey, and like we can catalog it, and like it just helps inspire people too, because there's other people who want to get started, and like you've made it first this, past this first leg, which is great. You've got more to go, and it's always like a learning process, so that never goes away. But it's still really cool, like capture your story, like every step of the way too. It's like, oh, I got the first one. Oh, I think it fell through on that first one. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I got the second
Yeah.
one, got under contract, and then boom, I got number 2, number 3. So that's the real journey of it. That's how it actually goes for most folks. So
Yeah.
it's awesome to capture that.
It goes just the way Victor describes it is the way it goes. He doesn't pull any punches. He just lets you know how it is, and it is how it goes. Your first one is the hardest one. It's the hardest for money. It's the hardest for flipping. It's just the hardest. But then the next ones come, and you have knowledge from the last one, and things start to feel more comfortable, not so unknown. So it goes just the way you say it does in the course. And I tell everybody, I followed Victor's course, and he's a great coach because he'll be on Voxer whenever you need him. and that's how I did this. So that's, can't recommend it any more than that.
Awesome. The results show for themselves. You took action, you made it happen. So can't beat that. Very cool. We'll wrap it up here, but yeah, appreciate it. And again, I'm still here to help, but yeah, thanks again for, sharing your story.
Thank you.